in Globus IT, and I would like to tell you about one special trend in recent mobile development, which is not so obvious and not a lot of people is considering it. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am a programmer, more than 13 years, and 13 years of them I've been working with mobile platforms like iOS mostly. Also, I have some wide experience in Android and server-side development. Just to bring all of us to the same page, I would like to went through all the obvious trends in recent mobile development. I'm sure all of you have heard of them, but I would like to summarize them and introduce one more thing in this amount of threads. So first of all, it is a 5G networking, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, security, IoT, Internet of Things, geolocation services, healthcare and sport activities, cross-platform and multi-platform, artificial and machine learning integration, and one more trend which I would like to postpone a bit, because we need to get quite a deep understanding of how wide mobile development is. So first of all, 5G network capabilities. I'm sure all of us heard about it, and mostly it is about increasing the bandwidth of your mobile device's internet connection. Also, it has some advantages in connections, like your connections become more stable, more faster, less. You're gonna have less timings, and these wide connection allow you to use connections with other people through internet as fast and reliable as it's possible. So 5G will kept the world recently. Some countries already did a lot of new equipment for it, and 5G will also grow up in future, 6G or something like that. But this is obvious, I suppose. So AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. Most of you have heard about special glasses from Google, from Apple. Last week, Apple introduced this device. This is Apple Vision Pro. This is a special helmet which allows you to dive into augmented reality and virtual reality. And Apple even moved it to a separate platform like iOS, macOS. They also separated Vision OS, which is a new mobile platform for augmented and virtual reality development. This is a huge step for development, and we have kind of new platform. It's not a cell phone, it's not a smartphone, it's just a separate devices. All other companies have actually tried to invent something like this, but not as good enough as Apple, of course, because they spent approximately 7 years doing it, and they have a cycle of tries and repeats, maybe 10 years or something like that. Probably no one else can perform that kind of activity for so long besides Apple. So the second trend is security. I think it should be common for all the people. Everyone have a private data on the cell phones, and they want to protect it and keep it at bay, so nobody would able to touch it. And as more users count grow, the more security they require. And mobile security is also growing. We have special companies that devoted their activities only for securitization of mobile data, which including storage data and transferring data. But this is existed always, and all the people know this necessity to protect their data. IoT, Internet of Things. I think you also may heard about it when you have your house or apartment equipped with smart devices. And these smart devices can be managed through your cell phone or through your computer outside from any point in the world. So you can turn on the conditioner from airplane maybe, and when you will arrive at home, it will be cool enough to just to be happy at home. And we have a variety of these devices. Most of them are managed from mobile phones, laptops, and this is like the current day reality that we have. Geolocation services. When we arrive to Istanbul, so first of all, we open up the map and we would like to find ourselves. A geolocation service is kind of the basis for all the mobile development. People would like to know their location on the map even before smartphones shows up. People had them paper maps, and the necessity of knowing your location was kind of a basic for mobile development. The second trend is healthcare and different kind of sport activities. You also may know wearing devices like watch, step counters, and other devices which have a direct connection to your body, and they have some kind of sensors that can count something like steps, blood pressure, or whatever you want. Actually, it's depend of that kind of mobile device that you have, and these devices collect your data, your personal data, your health data, which is supposed to be secured. And this data could be analyzed by specialists like your doctor to give you better recommendations to improve your health care. I think it's also like clear and everyone knows about it. Cross-platform and multi-platform development. When customers came to us in Globus IT, they often ask a wide coverage of platforms. For instance, they would like to have their internet shops in a big variety of the devices that user may have. Laptop, smartphones, computers, and many others actually. And this trend existed maybe last 10 years when it was obvious that Android and Apple will be the top platforms on mobile, and the same day customers would love to have both. They would love to see their application that working on both platforms. But big tech companies does not kind of approve that approach, and Apple, for instance, propose you a multi-platform approach that you have a one code base, but you can run it like only on Apple devices, not Android devices. So this is a huge topic. It is recent, but this is not the main goal of this presentation. So the next trend, AI and machine learning integration. Sure, go ahead.
The other side.
This one.
When we talk about these cross-platforms, at your project, which one is the most preferred Flutter to React Native?
Flutter to React Native. Actually, I'm from kind of different camp. I prefer native development. So native Android.
When your projects, their clients decided to plan with multi-platform, cross-platform, which one of the higher value of this production? When you're talking about the native platforms, the best way to develop with mobile.
Yeah,
but which is the most preferred one?
So React Native, basically.
Sorry?
React Native, basically. In Russia, we use a lot of React Native platform.
So I have a slightly different answer. First of all, it is a tricky question because I need to analyze all of your requirements of your application. So I need to know your life cycle, how long the application gonna live, how your application will depend of a real device, sensor connectivities. So is it will be anyway possible to run it on cross-platform frameworks? It's a tricky question. I need to ask you a list of some questions, and then I will figure out your requirements. And after knowing your requirements, I can advise you.
We need some parameters to decide this question.
Yeah, if you share with me these parameters, I can advise you a cross-platform framework which will fit you the best.
Let me also please
Sure.
answer. So in Russia, it's the same as in Turkey. We use Flutter and React Native. These are our most popular platforms, basically. And we also have trends to make low-code and no-code platforms. So some kind of that.
And I would also add, since I work a little bit with those who are looking for the people for out stuff, and I believe that Flutter is getting more and more popular year by year, just because the people who originated Flutter, they didn't leave it alone, and they're developing the language more and more from time to time.
Cross-platform actually is not limited only Flutter and React Native. We have more recent frameworks which may work better for you, like Kotlin multi-platform. This is a multi-platform based on Kotlin language. Also, we're aware about Skate, which is the cross-platform based on Swift language. So they are recent, there are several of them, and the market is not limited only by these two solutions. But what I'm trying to explain here for native mobile development, I will give you at the end of the presentation. So we actually can make cross-platform natively. And now it may seem clumsy, but at the end, I will explain it all in the details. And we have some experience that other companies probably may not have.
Dmitry, may I have a question? Hello?
Sure.
For me. How do you test your mobile application? Because we are struggling with that currently. It's not easy job to build up test automation for the mobile app because there are a lot of combination of devices and operating system versions and framework versions. So how do you test it?
Currently, on real production projects, we usually two approaches. Yeah. We do unit testing and integration testing. These tests are automated by specialists who write them. Also, developers will assist them to write automation tests, and we do manual testing. So manual testers, they are a part of the project. They have a device set. So we have a company, Globus IT, and we have a, let's say, a stock with all the devices that we need, and every manual developer can take the device it needs to and run through the app like manually. But this is not the only practices that we have. We also do backend testing using documentation like Swagger approach, and we have special tools that we using to build automation test for backend side. So it's really up to the project which practices will work best for you. So for instance, again, I'm going to have a bunch of questions to you about your project, about your needs, about the problems you're trying to solve, and I will pick as a lead developer the best practices that will fit for your project right now the most. And after that, we will increase it during the project development. Usually, testing team, they are working in parallel with developers. So developers doing their coding stuff and testers independently doing their testing things. And it's like two different threads in one project development. Actually, there is more practices, and some of them are widely used, some of them are rare used, and some projects even may have different practices that only exist in the scope of their project. So it's kind of tricky to say which one will fit for you the best, but definitely we need to analyze your requirements to find solutions.
I see, thank you.
Sure. So.
Yeah, continue, please.
Sure.
Question about the tester again.
The tester, okay.
You show us the 400 developer you have.
Yes.
400 plus.
Yes.
How much is tested?
So again, it's up to the project, and usually
In your team.
the RET probably Inge will tell you more about.
Yeah, I will tell more. It's approximately 30% of the 400 people are testers. They are not only automized, but they are also like those who doing manual testing, but that's like 30% of the company. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
but again, it's like a raw number approximately, because in our IoT we're gonna have a testing team bigger than other projects, because we have many in-home devices that should be tested. We have several mobile platforms that should communicate with that devices. We also have a backend side, and they also should be their API also should be tested. And 3 out of 10 developers should be testers. Yes, probably this is it. But again, it's up to the project, up to the special conditions.
Let me also answer. Just forgot to say that we have a very big partners network in Russia, and it consists of around 500 companies among of the country. So basically, some parts of the companies are just directly companies who specialize only on testing. So in case of we have a very big contract with the customer and we need some deep testing, we go to the companies and ask them to help. So use them as subcontractors. So just it's not the deal only of our in-staff developers, because for some projects, of course, we use subcontractors as a general contractor, and this is the one thing. And the other thing to the topic of today's meeting, neural networks, just Dima forgot to say that we can use ChatGPT to create unit testing. So you can just give to this library code, and it can give you unit tests for various functions. And we use this approach in our development as well. For example, when we develop code, we ask ChatGPT to create unit tests. And if in the past it was the job of junior developers or test developers who helped us, nowadays we just use neural networks to make things faster. Thank you.
So I need to dive deep into my presentation to get into ChatGPT and how we're using it. Actually, we just started yet. And yes, we can increase number of QA in the project during the project needs. For instance, we can start with 1 QA and increase the number to 100 developers, because again, we have partners. So next trend, machine learning integration. Actually, if you have a recent smartphone, you're gonna have all of the photos that you make from your camera is processed by the special algorithms that are responsible for photo processing, and they're using machine learning under the hood. And this is A16 Bionic processor from the Apple, which is the recent one, and it has 16 neural cores to handle that kind of operation that relies on neural network. So under the hood, when you're making a photo, it goes through the set of filters, which is driven by neural network, and handle it in a special course in the processor. For user, it works transparently. User not even consider it, but today it is a reality that actually it's been working for 2 or 3 years already. Here is the trend that I would like to talk about. Here is the automatization of code creation. This is a major trend in modern software development, especially in mobile development. So all of you know probably that IT projects may take a long time, and vast of the time is occupied by code creation. And the code creation process is quite complicated, and all of the customers and all of the developers trying to reduce this time and to increase their productivity as it's possible. But many years these approaches remains intact. So we didn't have any new instrument, any new tools, any new approaches that 20 or 30 years ago developers had, and this area was quite standing on hold for a while. But 2 years ago, that thing is changed and changed radically. So we came to big step in new generative neural network. Actually, we have some alerts about it in our everyday developer's life, and it was not like one day. It was not an idea that we came in one day. Actually, it was quite a process, and we went like through it. Any common requirements in all of the projects that we have require some automatization of typical tasks. Like for instance, all of the project require authentication, authorization, database storage, and so on. So we have a lot of common tasks across all of the projects. Also, we have a requirement to get visible results as fast as possible. So when the customer sees the result as fast as possible, he can make a decision about the project. He can change it somehow in a better way to better fit their needs, to better fit business, to better fit requirements or problem solving. Also, as I have already mentioned, covering as many platforms as possible is also major requirements from our clients. And of course, time saving is a crucial aspect of everyday developer life. And all of these approaches, probably this is not the full list, but all of these approaches heavily rely on code reuse practices. Code reuse practices like frameworks, libraries, and maybe ready code modules, and all of it relies on previous existed code bases. Also, that was our observations, but it's not only our observations. Big techs like Google and Apple recently, they are moving towards direction in declarative programming. Apple moved to Swift UI and Swift data, which are fully declarative approaches. So you're not asking for for instance, if you would like to have a burger, you no need to describe how it should be cooked, which meat you should take, how many cheese you should put on it. So usually in declarative approach, you only declare that you need a burger, and the platform will decide the best option for you, how you should make it. And this is the big tech companies, and now big tech companies moving towards it. So they are creating the ground, the basis for automatic code generation inside their platforms. And also Apple and Google did it. Android have also Jetpack Compose, which is also declarative UI for Android platform. And based on it, actually we can build easily something like the code generator. And if you think that the code generation was always the demand of the business, and actually yes it is, but again there was no good alternative than standard practices like framework and libraries. That's all actually the developer had till recent days. So this is like several practices of code creation, and they have not been changed. And here we have, it's a simplistic image of generative neural network. Actually, a generative neural network has many layers, many neurons. They have billions of parameters. They are complicated. They are hard to learn. And it's next to impossible for a single developer to learn such a network on a single machine. That's why only big tech can allow to learn that kind of huge generative neural network. And we will discuss them a bit later. Usually I'm used to say generative neural network. You also may have heard about generative AI. Practically, this is the same meaning of this. This is two same meanings of one thing. We're talking about network that can generate the content. We have nowadays actually we have many generative networks almost for every task that you can imagine. Create images, code, text, brands, sounds. Actually, it is existed now more than 1,000 generative networks, and all of them actually available at your disposal. Of course, you have to you had to have some skills working with it, but some of that elements of generative neural network existed actually quite a long time ago. Actually, we have something in the development. We have something like static analyzers, smart code completion, and this is something that IDE creators, like big tech companies, was giving us for developers to make our code better, to make it stable, to make it more bug proven. But still, they was smart, but not smart enough to create. They are not creative. They can check bugs, errors, whatever, but not create. And 2 years ago, we got from Microsoft. Actually, it's not directly from Microsoft. It's one of their company, GitHub Copilot. Probably you may not heard about it, but this is the first like generative neural network for code creators, and it was a kind of big success because it can create a code base for you. First of all, so it is a Microsoft development, and it was available like a plugin for your favorite IDE. The first was Visual Studio. It is working, and GitHub Pilot works the best in Microsoft environment, but available as a plugin for any modern IDE, like my favorite Xcode. And later, into 2019, we started it. This is the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is not a specialized network for code creation. Actually, it's like a text synthesizer. And initially, it was created like a chatbot, but it has grown significantly. And now we have ChatGPT 4. In Globus IT, we started working with ChatGPT 3.0. And it was not as good as now, but it was good enough to make a code that is suitable for production projects. Actually, there is some aspects about it, nitty-gritty details, but together with Copilot, this was working like a charm. And we actually did solve a lot of routine issues on the production projects with these two guys. And for us, it was a huge experience. So how do we use it?
Hold on, we have a question.
A question? Yes, please.
Previous slide. There's a one problem with the generative AIs in this scope. They have token size limit for analyzing your code base. I think it was 32,000 at most.
30.
For the GPT-4. So sometimes it's not being possible to analyze all your code base because in your code base.
Yes, we also met these limits. So the token base was like 500 tokens or 5,000, I guess, something like that. But in OpenAI website, you can create a conversation with a chatbot, and you can put as much code as possible to one single thread. Actually, ChatGPT knows all of the context of all the thread, and it work with you knowing it. And we can put there a lot of our classes, a lot of our structs.
So you say it's working like a long-term memory for this chat?
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, yes, it is. It works like, but there is certain issues with long-term memory. They are not solved yet. but it is sufficient enough to work on it with daily basis. So if you have a thread with several prompts in it, so each prompt is considered for ChatGPT, and you can actually work with it. It will know all of the names of classes that you used previously. And yes, this is one of the first problems that we met, but all of the problems that we had, we solved them, and the solution was quite easy.
I see.
So I'm open for conversation after the demo, and I can explain you more about some details and how.
Can we do some like presentation for the people who are interested? Can we show
yes.
how it works?
Yes, I have my laptop with me. I can go with you through the OpenAI website and show you how we deal with it. Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Actually, we're having like master classes for like business, which is devoted to artificial intelligence, and we will just show how it works. And I believe that Dmitry would answer all the questions. Please continue if nobody has any questions.
Thank you. The thing is, it did really the job. So this tool was proven by practice, and we got outstanding results of it. It even overcome my expectations. I was quite not convinced to use it, but I tried it, and I got fascinating results. GNN, Generative Neural Networks, can handle a lot of tasks. Actually, you can use it for any text generation activities. For instance, you need some text analysis of big amount of text, of agreements, for instance. You can ask it to highlight any crucial aspects of it. You can ask to gather the context of big amount of text, and any text activities actually could be handled pretty well, especially by ChatGPT, because again, it was developed initially like a chatbot. And here we have a Russian student. He was aware about ChatGPT and its possibilities, and here is his final graduation work. That was created by one night before his final exam, and he passed it well because it has a red color. So this is the highest excellent mark, and probably he just spent one night doing it, and he is absolutely happy, as well as we got happy when we accomplished our tasks. So we did screen creation of mobile applications on the fly. We literally sit in front of our clients, asking their requirements and creating working mobile app screens on the fly. And we were able to show it clients like in real time. That's huge, actually. Also, we did use it for code transformation from one language to another. We had an old code base with legacy code on Objective-C, and we translated into more modern Swift. It was successful. Also, we did transformation from Swift language to Kotlin to run the same application that was built for iOS platform on Android platform. That is the point. We actually can take a native code on one platform and translate it to native code on the other platform. Like in this approach, we actually no need to use any cross-platform framework, and we are like removing the one layer of abstraction. It's this approach has less bugs, has less it is more error prone, and it is not slow. So the ChatGPT can create most of the code base for us. For instance, we can have two iOS developers and one Android developer, and this Android developer only need to grab the Swift code and ask ChatGPT to translate it to Android, including all UIs, including databases and all of the stuff. So it was quite successful. Unit testing. So we can give ChatGPT our code base and ask him to create unit test. Of course, we need to recheck this code base that ChatGPT generated for us, but still it's going to work flawlessly. So we did a lot of unit testing for it. Even more, When the project is finished, we had a task to create an instructions for customers to let them publish iOS application on the App Store. It is quite tricky process, but ChatGPT even gave that. So we had 10 steps of how we can publish iOS application on App Store Connect. So as a specialist, I can confirm that these steps was right. So if it's not a revolution, it's a huge step forward. We in the Globus IT, we do expect deep integration of generative neural network to code creation projects, in all IT projects, or even more. Probably any kind of human activity which related with text creation, generation, or analysis can be improved with GNN integration. Also, there is some natural language processing models, but let's consider GNN and NLP is the same, just for simplicity right now. And we expect that development time to market of the project will be increased dramatically with using that kind of technologies. So it may sound for now like we find the silver bullets for all of the projects, for all of the languages, but it's not. The problem hides in the context understanding. Here in the picture, this is not my picture. This is a picture from Paul Hudson, which is famous teacher of iOS development. And he did ask for ChatGPT to create a clock. And this is the result that ChatGPT gave him back. ChatGPT doesn't know the context absolutely. He may analyze it deep enough for some tasks, but not absolutely. And you should not trust it absolutely. And that's why we could not exclude a human out of this process, because human always have to check the results and validate them, how good they are, how can you treat them. And if you are not aware of it, you probably can get something like this on your project. And actually in the internet you can find now articles about how people did shut their leg using ChatGPT for different activities. So again, you still need an expert who will check the results and validate them. So what will happen in the nearest future for GNN? So we really do expect deep integration in all IDEs of GNN facilities. So the code creation time will be decreased, time to market will be increased. And actually we already have in some IDEs like Visual Studio that they already using plugins like Copilot in the development. It's a huge step, it's a huge help, but it's just the beginning actually, just the beginning for new sort of tools and AI agents that will help to develop, that will help developers to perform their job. Actually, like ChatGPT, GNNs, they are kind of a ground for further improvements. And the next step for it is AI agents. Actually, this is the theme of my next presentation, but for now, AI agents is some additional layer above GNN, which will help you to reach your goals. For instance, when you are working with ChatGPT, you have a bunch of prompts, you have questions and answers from ChatGPT, and you have to combine them in the one single project. And this is the job for an expert. And AI agents will help you do that work for you. So they will handle the back and forth prompt processing and will help you to create your own product. These technologies are very new. And here I have the repository of AutoGPT project. And as you can see, this is like the recent one. 12 hours ago, changes was made in that folder of the project. So people very keen in it, and they are trying as much effort as they can just for now. Actually, AI agents is a theme of like 2 months ago. This is something that's happening right now in GNN area for development. So we will expect some even more crazy things out of generative neural networks. And even after AI agents, we have something like AI transformers agents. They actually able to build a product based on API of neural agents. They actually can build a product for you using the API of AI agents, and it's gonna be the solid product for you. This is actually the point where probably, potentially in the future, maybe, but human can be excluded. So this is like 3 layers above the GNN, and a very heavy magic can happen on that layers. And now it is under heavy development. People try to invest in it, and of course we are going to chase it and use it in our daily development. So that's it for my presentation. Now you may have asked me additional questions if you have it, or after the presentation I can show you all we done in a real computer in a real environment, and I can prove you that it really works and works well.